discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the New to Wrestling Podcast After Dark. I am so excited to be sharing this episode, or for us to be sharing this episode with you guys. It's going to be a good one, you guys. I'm extremely excited. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest for this evening. He has trained with the legend Booker T. He is the winner and champion of the first ever cage match that took place in Innisfail, earning him the match of the year. Going for gold runs in his blood, and he is the owner of a pink corduroy coat I am hoping to rob from him one day. Um, Principal Crutherford is shaking in his boots, girl. Today we have the amazing Prospector, Wes Barker. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm gonna crack a beer to you, Kelsey and Xavier, and the New to Wrestling podcast. I'm gonna drink this while we record because I've been told that alcohol makes me more tolerable. So that's my aim here today is to be tolerable for you two.
I love that.
Well, cheers and thank you. I will say so far you've been extremely tolerable in this small little bit that we've had thus far. I guess you have enough time to prove me wrong, but I don't think you will. So welcome. We're so happy to have you on the show. You're also our first ever Canadian wrestler, which is huge for me specifically because we just got through the era in the Attitude Era, or like preceding the Attitude Era with like the Hart Foundation. And I was devastated at the loss of Bret Hart and all of those incredible Canadian wrestlers. So it is so nice to be able to speak to you and like get into your lore and everything about you. And we just could not be happier to have you here.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here.
So I will start off by asking you, like, I think this is really crazy. You had your gimmick from day one, the Prospector from day one. When you went to train as a wrestler, you knew exactly who you wanted to be and who you wanted to become.
Yeah. It was never a question of who I would be inside the ring. When I went to training school, my trainer Chris Knight, he asked all the trainees. He said, you got to start thinking, who you are in the ring. And I was like, I already know, Chris. I'm the Prospector. And I think what that comes down to is that in the world of wrestling, who you are in the ring needs to be the best version of yourself. A lot of times, wrestlers will say, the character I play in the ring is an extension of me. It might be, my personality dialed up to 10, right? I think the best way to describe it though is you want who you are in the ring to be the best version of yourself. So the Prospector is the best version of Wes Barker.
I will say, I think that kind of sorry, were you going to say?
No, go ahead, please.
You had said something in an interview previously about how what you loved about wrestling was the philosophy of wrestling is like life is complicated, but wrestling is not. Like when you have an issue, you can just go in there and like shake somebody around. Like the heel, you can just get in there if you have a problem with somebody and like slap them around. And I feel like, do you feel like that exemplifies like that kind of, I don't want to say like cut and dry, but that simple philosophy is kind of lends itself to like the Prospector being the best version of you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is cut and dry. It is that simple. So if you want to talk storytelling for a moment, every story ever told has three parts. And what are they? I think we all know: a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Except that in of itself is not true. A story only has two parts, and that's a conflict and a resolution. And you can even you can even boil that down to like the most simple joke of all time. A guy walks into a bar, he says, "Ouch," right? Conflict, right? He's walked into a bar, resolution, it hurt him. He said, "Ouch," right? And that's what professional wrestling is. it what it is that whatever the conflict may be, and you've been watching a lot of wrestling. I'm sure you've seen a lot of storylines and a lot of angles. Whatever the conflict may be, the resolution is never going to change. So
Mm.
you've already taken the most simple, basic story structure, which is conflict resolution, and professional wrestling has somehow managed to cut that in half and go, the resolution is always going to be the same too. It's going to be, you're
Mm.
going to wrestle. So really now what we're dealing with is only conflict, right? So every story ever
Mm.
told is beginning, middle, end. No, it's not. It's conflict resolution. And professional wrestling goes, we're even going to take out resolution because that's going to be the same every time. It's going to be fixed in that it's always just going to be a wrestling match. And now we're only dealing with a conflict.
Mm. Wow.
Interesting. I'm curious as to like how, so even like going into like day one of having the prospector like in your mind, how has that evolved? Because I'm sure as you learn, you're obviously going to have to tweak some things. Like, how do you feel that's changed from day one to where you're at now, having the experiences you've had?
Well, day one, as in the day I was born, because my great grandfather was William Billy Barker, who struck gold. And a little bit of Canadian history, as you've brought on a Canadian, I might as well give you the lore of the land.
Mhm.
The Caribou Gold Rush was kickstarted by my great grandfather. So from day one, I was the prospector.
Mm.
Yeah, and then bringing it into the ring. Well, that's just it's interesting because one of the things that you learn when you train in wrestling and train as much as I have is a million moves, right? It's like you learn everything under the sun. You learn how to flip, you learn how to jump, you learn how to dance, you learn how to do all these things. But what it really comes down to at the end of the day for the prospector is I got to get in the ring and I got to beat this guy up. And it's that simple, right? I can do a flip, but I can also just punch you in the face. And usually that's the way to go about it.
Right.
Mm.
Very nice.
Love
Go ahead,
that.
Kelsey.
I was gonna say, because you've said in previous interviews a lot that you're like a vagabond type of guy. Like you are like a classic, like vagabond carny type of wrestler, like classic 80s, like meat and potatoes type of wrestler. And you also have said that wrestling is the medium of wrestling is very expansive. Do you find that being like a meat and potatoes type of wrestler, like doing those like classic kind of wrestling moves, like your finisher is like a big boot, which actually is the big foot, which has to do with your great grandfather. But do you think that it lends itself to versatility in the ring because it's such classic wrestling that it can kind of transcend different mediums with other wrestlers? Or do you find it's like a little bit more of like a shuffling?
Well, the the thing about the amount that I travel for wrestling is I get in the ring with people of a lot of different styles,
Mm,
and you need to know how to wrestle those styles. So if I get in the ring with a luchador, who's going to be pulling off ranas and head scissors and walking the tightrope, I got to be in there with them and ready to go.
mm,
As well, if I work, someone who's say Japanese strong style,
right.
I got to be ready to throw some chops.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, for sure.
yeah. So although my style of wrestling is very old school, very 80s, I still need to be, well educated, well trained, and knowledgeable of all the other styles because when you're going town to town to town to town, and a lot of these wrestlers who I'm working with, we won't have touched until we're in the ring in front of a crowd.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Insane.
there's no time for me to sit around wondering or, training with them going, oh, like, what moves do you do? How do you do that? Right.
Right.
You got to know, you got to be up to speed on everything.
Yeah. And do you think that and I love that. I think that's incredible. And I think it's a testament to your versatility and your adaptability because I say all the time and now I'm like kind of tangenting a bit, but I I think that I say all the time that to me the most insane part of wrestling is that people do not know. Like the average person who does not watch wrestling does not know is that most of it is improv. Like most of it is improvisational just in the ring like they just like two wrestlers just figure it out. Sometimes they do not meet until they are in the ring. And to
Mhm.
me that is the craziest part and that is like when I tell people who don't watch wrestling they're like, "What?" I'm like, no, I'm telling you, they didn't rehearse anything. Like they literally just got in there and they have to be so adaptable and versatile. And I just think that is so incredible. So just kudos to you. But my question is when you again, when you talk about like being a vagabond, you've mentioned that the best part of wrestling for you is traveling. Like in
Oh
previous
yeah.
interviews, like traveling is the best part of wrestling for you. And I have a two-part question is
Okay. Give
one,
me
I
part one first.
okay.
No, wait, give me
I
part two first. No,
okay. I one, I just always think that is, or I guess it's like one question kind of like marinated into one bigger question, but I am always think that traveling would be the hardest part of wrestling to be like constantly on
yeah.
the road. You're always meeting new people. You're always like in new places. Like you don't always know where you're going or where you're going to stay or what's happening. But you have also said that like you were kind of born a vagabond. And so does wrestling lend itself to that like personality trait of you, or do you feel like wrestling brought that out in you, or do you feel like it was kind of a cohesion of both?
It's it the thing about professional wrestling is you find out a lot about yourself real quick in this business.
Mm.
Um, Something that people don't talk about is wrestling training schools. The dropout rate of a wrestling training school is through the roof.
Mm.
Uh, like these, I know there's this thing right now where like no one can really like fail high school. Well, like everyone fails wrestling school in that they stop showing up.
Mm.
And the thing about that is that it's a pain tolerance, and pain
Mm.
comes both like emotionally and physically. So when you're in training school and you learn like, okay, when you hit the ropes, your back's bruised, right? The
Mm-hmm.
first time you take a bump on the mat, like you've been told it's like a trampoline for some reason. It's not like a trampoline. I'm yet
Which
to
is
wrestle on a ring.
crazy.
I'm yet to wrestle in a ring that's like a trampoline. Okay. uh, so you're winded, right? And the amount of people who drop out of wrestling school because they show up and, they may have been a wrestling fan, and or maybe they're like an ex, athlete from some other kind of sport, but they don't love wrestling, but they were told, you should go try it because you were good at football or basketball or what
Mm.
have you, and then they get in the ring, but like if you don't love something and then suddenly, you're winded, you're bruised, you're broken, right? You're going to quit. And a lot of people do. Like the people on indie wrestling shows, like those are like that many people compared to the people who actually show up to train. And I know that this is audio, so I just made a very small gesture with my for those listening. And then, once you make it through wrestling training school, now you're put to the test of the road. And a lot of
Mm.
people, they don't like that test. And I'm someone who loved it. Like right from the beginning, getting in my car and, driving, a couple hours to that show and then a couple hours to the next one and, crashing on couches, crashing on, spare bedrooms. Heck, I was driving around in a 2009 Dodge Challenger. It was,
Mm.
I loved that car. I loved it. But
Mm-hmm.
my travel schedule was so challenging that I actually had to sell the car and get an SUV because an SUV you can pop the seats down and put in a mattress and sleep.
Wow.
So, I've been
Oh
caught in
my God.
situations, where I've had to sleep in my car numerous times, right?
Wow.
Sometimes by choice, right? And that's a love of the game, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I talk about being a vagabond, what that means is going where the wind takes me and really enjoying the experience. And if you love professional wrestling, then you're gonna love being on the road, meeting new wrestlers, working in new venues. Nothing gets me more excited than showing up to a town I haven't wrestled before.
Wow.
Because, why would I have seen it otherwise? You know? And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'd say that professional wrestling is inherently going to teach you a lot about yourself, both physically and mentally. And it's not for the faint of heart. It really is not.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did want to like segue kind of back to your training in that when you were about like 6 months in, you had asked to like start wrestling and you were
Yeah.
told no.
Yeah.
And then you had said that something in that like getting that answer like switched. So I was kind of curious as to what did those 2 months like look like as far as like what you were getting like because obviously, you get told no for a reason, so you have to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, what's next? And obviously, you didn't take no for an answer. So like, what did those 2 months like look like for you, and how did they test you in a way that was different than the previous like six?
Yeah, I turned into a real mean son of a bitch in that 2 months. So that I had trained 5 times a week, 2 hours a day for that 6 months, and I was wrestling did not come naturally to me. For some people it does. For me it didn't. The pain tolerance did. I quite like enjoyed pushing myself physically to the brink of exhaustion and oh man, this bump and bruise hurts. Well, only 8 more hours this week of landing on it, right? Like
Mm.
that came naturally to me of that. But the actual moves and the fluidity in the ring and the footwork, none of that did. That is, I've had to work incredible amounts to be able to become the in-ring performer that I am, because almost none of it came naturally. Maybe some of the mic skills, but none of the in-ring. And yeah, so what happened was it was a 3-month training program with Chris Knight in Calgary, and Chris Knight is the best wrestling trainer in Canada, and I was very fortunate to train under him. So it's a 3-month program, and at the end of the 3 months, Knighter in his Australian accent was like, "Mate, you're not very good at this, mate." And
Oh
I was
my
like, "No,
God.
no, you're not wrong, Chris, about that." But he's like, but I'll give you this, you're still here. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, okay. So he's like, come back for another 3. So then, I did another 3 months, and now I'm like, okay, like 6 months in, like let's do this. And Chris, nope, still not ready. You're still not good. So that last 2 months was really, definitionally nose to the grindstone. Like
Mm.
there was no joking around at training. I usually keep things pretty light. I wasn't keeping things light for that 2 months. I was figuring this shit out come
Mm.
hell or high water, because I was ready to get into the ring. However, I respected Chris Knight enough to not go take a match until he said I was ready.
Mm.
So I was going to earn his respect, and then from there start my career.
That's
I
awesome.
I love that. And I think that you had said when you were talking about this in one of your previous interviews, you had said you needed a lot of time, a lot of training, and a lot of brutal honesty to hone in the character. Do you still find that you like want those things like in your day-to-day training, like you feel like you still lean on training, lean on honesty from other wrestlers? Like, is that still something that's part of like your core in terms of moving forward as a wrestler?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really don't uh I really don't care for pleasantries. Like I'm very much so of the mindset of of criticism, and,
Mm.
there's this thing where people are like, oh, like, give me positive feedback. I'm like, no, I don't want fucking positive feedback. Give me criticism, like
Right.
critique me. I want to be criticized for what I'm doing because I need to know how to get better, right? Because it's a lot easier for, a trainer or a ring veteran or a promoter to, spill the beans and give me the honest truth of how it's looking than, a crowd of 800 people. It's
Right.
and it's a very important thing in wrestling too, is that like you're always training. So I'm constantly training, and not I'm not going in there and doing all the stuff that I do every match. I'm not going in there and working on my stalling, jumping suplex, my top rope elbow drop, because
Right.
we're good. We're good. I'm
Mhm.
going in there and I'm trying things that I don't know how to do and learning them. And yeah, the majority of my training is stuff that I'm not good at. Like it's it's pretty funny. Like if anyone were to watch me train, they'd be like, this guy is terrible. Wow, this guy is awful, right? When is he ever gonna have a match? Like, but the truth is, it's because I'm in there trying lucha things. I'm in there trying Japanese strong style things. I'm in there, working on styles that I'm not familiar with, so that maybe I add a few of them into my own repertoire. Or, I mean, at a bare minimum, when you wrestle someone who does that style, you can keep up.
Right. And I feel like that's like a testament to like just kind of the mindset you apply to things, in that like um people got I you should feel comfortable like being a beginner. Everyone's a beginner somewhere. You got to just be comfortable with being bad at something before you can build on
Absolutely.
anything. So it's just such a like a testament to. But I did want to ask about, because you said you kind of always training and kind of I'm sure like even like throughout matches. So like is there any or like a few people that have like taught you the most like in a match, that has kind of just stuck with you, like a lesson in during a match that you've kind of gained?
Uh yeah, well, Chris Knight was my trainer.
Hmm.
And then I worked an extensive program with Mr. Beefy Goodness Vance Nevada,
Mm-hmm.
who's of fame here in Canada. He's held the most championships of any independent wrestler in Canadian history.
Okay.
He's
Crazy.
been honored.
Insane.
Yeah, and he's been honored by the Cauliflower Alley Club for his historian work.
Wow.
So working program with Vance, I learned a ton. I learned a ton about the business, and then as well, just looking at, Todd Quality right now is probably the top heel in British Columbia, and I worked a program with him at Canadian Apex Wrestling. And there's something real interesting about a guy who comes out in a velvet tracksuit and doing as much offensive imagery as possible.
Hmm.
Like, you
Mm.
get in the ring with that guy, and it's just electricity. So, Todd Quality, I'll give him credit. There's not a dull moment in the
Wow.
crowd, but even in the ring, like, there's not a dull moment. I don't know what the hell is going on in there when I'm working with old Todd Quality, but hell, that velvet sweatsuit's usually pretty dang sweaty by the end. He's wringing it out in the dressing
Oh
room,
my
and water
God.
falling
Brutal.
out.
I was gonna say the
Right.
velvet sweatsuit would fit in right where we live, girl. Like that is at what everybody is. That
Yeah.
was what we went to high school with. So he's welcome here anytime.
I'll
Um,
let him know. I'll let
oh
him know
yeah,
that
let him
there's,
know.
yeah.
I was gonna say, not so much as a question, but I love that you had brought this up. I think in the interview with the Canadian Goose legend. Um, but you had mentioned that how much like you love just like a crowd of 15 people at a wrestling show because they are there to see wrestling as opposed to like hockey where like which is just the most important sport probably in my opinion probably in history but especially for Canada but I love that you mentioned that, especially because recently, since we've been going to more independent shows, like the thing I noticed the most, especially being new to wrestling, is like how much love the fan base has for wrestling, especially in the independents, like the quality of their care for like the wrestlers that they see, even if they've never seen them before, like how invested they are
Hmm.
in watching the independents. Like I really love that you brought that up where it's like it doesn't even really matter the crowd size because you know that everyone there is so invested in what's happening. Do you still feel that way? Like that the people who are there, like 2,000 people versus 15 people, like do you still feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you have to feel that way if you're wrestling and on the road as much as I am, because
Yeah,
otherwise you're going to
certainly.
be thoroughly disappointed way too often. Uh,
Mm.
and are we going to talk about the Joe
Oh
Bodacious
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we
episode?
definitely can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll actually answer that. I'll just bring up a part of that YouTube show right now is that match between Joe Bodacious and I was actually planned to be at this outdoor venue in downtown Calgary, where the last time we did it we drew like 350 400 people, and it was real
Wow.
exciting, and it got canceled.
Oof.
And Joe and I had to wrestle in that Legion where the crowd was like 40.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we actually the match was planned to be at a much bigger spectacle, and it was funny because I told Joe backstage. I said, "Well, Joe, this episode just got a lot more real."
Yeah. Oh, so
Because
authentic. Like
yeah,
real authentic independent
yeah,
wrestling.
like we could have looked like real rock stars for this YouTube show of yours, and we could have had the big crowd and the lights and the outdoor venue in the downtown Calgary, but get ready to get ready to wrestle in this Legion, Joe.
Really taste the flavor of this
Yeah,
Legion.
don't climb to the top rope because you will hit your head.
You will go through the drop ceiling.
You can
I
shake everyone in this crowd's hand if you want, Joe.
you have all the time.
There's not enough people here to for that to be considered a time waster. Go learn their names.
No,
Yeah,
literally.
you could introduce yourself, get their bio, get their family history, their medical family history,
Yeah.
and recommend some good doctors for them. You could figure that out. That would be fabulous. Like that, but that's real shit. Like that's real independent
Oh,
wrestling. Like to
yeah,
me.
that's the majority of shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
I loved that and I'm curious how that even came about because and this I think kind of lends itself a little bit also into your presence on social media, which I really feel like there's such an incredible, and I mean this so respectfully, like a levity to the way that you do things. Like I just find like you're just like perusing through certain posts and like this specifically too with the YouTube show like with it's Joe Bodacious, right?
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
always get stuck
yeah.
on bodacious because I just think what a fantastic word. Um
yeah.
just they don't use it like they used to. Like bodacious, what a good one. But I think there's such like a humor and a levity, and I think you kind of had mentioned that you the mic skills you could have just had inherently, like very naturally, and I could 100% see that because it's very funny, it's very like tongue in cheek, it's witty. Um, and I lost my question complimenting you on this because I feel it's more than deserved. But I just like I love how this like came about, like and how committed you were. Like the scenes in the gym were so funny. Like how did this come about? That was my question. We found our way.
Okay, so I'll give you the rundown of how the show came to be. So Chris Knight, when I was training in Calgary, he was the manager at Cowboys Casino at the time,
Which you
and
worked at, no? He got you the
yeah,
job there?
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely he did. Yeah. So the thing is that he would hire wrestlers or people he was training, and so that's how I got my job there. And I worked the Calgary Stampede, and I also happened to be wrestling at the Calgary Stampede at that time. So I
Wow.
went, did a show, and then that night I was working my security overnight job, and Joe Bodacious walked up to me and was like, "Hey man, like, sorry, like, are you the prospector?" And I was like, I was like, how do you, yeah? And he's like, oh, I could tell from the hat because at Cowboy, this is a Cowboys casino, security hat
Oh my
that I
God.
wear. Yeah. Don't tell them. Hopefully they don't
Oh,
listen to the podcast.
your secret is so safe.
Yeah, good. So Joe, so Joe had been to the show and then he saw me, working my security gig and he, so anyway, he got my information and like quite a bit of time passed. And then, I got a message and he's like, hey, like I'm starting this YouTube show. Cause he's a filmmaker out of Vancouver. And he's like, I'm starting a YouTube show. The premise is I'm going to just throw myself into situations I pretty much can't handle. And I'm like, well, professional wrestling is a situation you cannot handle, Joe. and so he's like, can we do something? And I'm like, well, usually when these like celebrity things happen, it's like a tag team match where, you're not really in the ring. He's like, no, I want to be in the ring. And I'm like,
Wow.
Joe, you don't know what you're asking. And he's like, no, I want to do it. I said, okay. So I organized it and then he showed up to Calgary and we had a night to film the training session, which he thought was going to be in the ring. And I was
oh my God.
I was like,
yeah, we gotta walk. We gotta walk and run.
I was like, no, Joe, like that's not gonna happen. Like,
No.
so we hit the weights, and one of the things about these influencers, these YouTube people, these TikTok people is they always think they're so smart. And like I told him from the beginning, I'm like, Joe, like you're not gonna influence me, okay? Like we're doing this my way, and come along for the ride. And if you can stay on the horse without getting bucked off, then credit to you. But I was kind of skeptical we'd make it to the end of the episode once we started working out because I was pretty skeptical. And what I told Joe Bodacious is what I tell anyone who's new to wrestling and has these preconceived notions about what it is, whether the ring be a trampoline and I said, look, Joe, like what we're dealing with here is pain tolerance. Okay, like there's a big difference between getting hurt and getting injured. Getting injured is bad. Like no one wants a sprained ankle, no one wants a broken rib, no one wants their nose punched off or right. No one wants that. But getting hurt, that's part of the business. That's a nightly thing, right? Wow. So when we're in the ring, like if you want out, let me know. But otherwise, this is what we're gonna do in there. And I actually got Chris Knight, my trainer, to help agent the match, put it together. And I told him before, and I'm like, Chris, like this is a real challenge. Joe has no wrestling experience. He's a YouTuber. I feel like I have to wrestle a broomstick. And in his Australian accent, he goes, mate, you don't got to wrestle a broomstick. You got to beat the fuck out of one. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Look at that. So yeah.
You're like, all right.
Yeah, I went in there and just, controlled Joe and didn't, the chops and some of the holds I put him in and cinched him in and credit where credit's due.
Absolutely.
He made it to the ending.
Right.
He survived.
He was, oh man, in the locker room after his chest was all bleeding from some of the chops I gave him. He was walking with a limp for some reason. And I saw him in Vancouver a few months later because I was doing a show and he came by to check it out. And he brought his wife with him and I met her, very nice very nice woman. I said, so Joe, like when are we gonna get back in the ring together? And she was just like, he's not.
And that's
And
that on
that's,
that.
I was like, and that's my friend. And that's my good sis. Thank you.
That's hilarious.
He's
That's
not. Thank you.
She's like, I'd like to have a husband at the end of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I need him to
Yeah.
do other extracurricular activities that he needs to be physically able to do.
Amen.
That is so funny. And you could tell, like, and respectfully, he was like nervous, but you guys were really like playing it so well. Cause I was gonna say you could not tell that you were skeptical. Like you were really like, come on, like put the 5 plates on, like whatever. And like that tire hates you. Like that was so funny.
Yeah, it
Hit
was
that
also
tire, that tire hates you.
yeah, it was also just me like fucking with him too, like just trying to see like where's the breaking point, like,
Right.
'cause I was kind of interested, like, you know, like
Yeah, of course.
I put a lot of blood, sweat, and baby oil into this business, right? So
Yeah.
for if someone wants to come through with a YouTube channel and want to participate, I'm gonna put them through the ringer.
Right.
And credit where credit's due. Joe Bodacious is one hell of a tough guy. I'll give him
Yeah,
that.
cheers to Joe Bodacious.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers to Joe Bodacious.
Good for you, sir. You done what I could never do, girl. I would never even pretend. So well done. Yeah, I love that. And I need to know whose idea it was, just because we're talking about like doing certain things for YouTube or whatever. Whose idea was it to do the move for move replay of Nacho Libre? I simply must know.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty incredible little video.
Oh my God. It's
Yeah, that was
so good. It's so funny. I saw it and I texted him and I was like,
Immediately, she's like,
we're
I'm gonna ask
interviewing
him
this
about
man.
this.
I must know how this came to be, because this is so amazing.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite people in the business. That's Ciclone Ramirez Jr., who's, you know, famous in Mexico, and I got a real lucky hand one tour where they're like, you're working Ciclone 3 nights in a row and you're driving with him. So
That's awesome.
Ciclone parle no inglese. So there's no English. So those long car rides, we pretty much very quickly though found our rhythm, even though like I don't speak Spanish. He doesn't, you know, speak English, but we found our rhythm pretty quick. And in the ring, he's such a ring veteran that he was able to just carry those matches. At that point in my career, those were far and above my best matches. And you know, what the Nacho Libre thing is, Ciclone had wrestled Ramses from Nacho Libre, the main
my
villain.
God. Okay.
Was a famous luchador, and Ciclone had wrestled him.
Wow.
And yeah, like we just, you know, me being an idiot, Nacho Libre is one of my favorite movies. So I was like, hey man, like, let's talk about it, you know, because you're a luchador. And he was like, yeah, I wrestled Ramses. And so there you have it. We did Nacho Libre's comeback, and yeah,
Incredible.
monkey flip and everything. The only thing that's wrong with it is in Nacho Libre, when he hits Ramses with the monkey flip, Ramses goes into the crowd.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ciclone's a crazy enough son of a bitch that I bet you he could have been convinced to do it. But I was like too beginner at that level. I was like, you know what? We'll just do it into the middle of the ring. Because
Wow.
I know for a fact when they filmed that movie, they had strings
Right.
when he flew out.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah,
That is so funny. I sent that to him, and then the catfish promo was genius.
Yes.
Yes, that was genius. So funny.
Thank you. Scorpius doesn't think so, but
Of course not. Of course not.
yeah, no, I'm a big Catfish guy. I love the TV show. It's real quality entertainment.
I agree.
And I was watching one night, and there was a guy named Scorpio on it
And you were like,
that was catfishing this girl, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Next time I wrestle Scorpius, he's getting catfished.
Oh, I
I
love
think
that.
that is so brilliant. And that is why I can so easily see that, like, if the promo, like the mic skills, like came easily to you, because you can feel how, like, just making those connections, how natural it comes to you, how funny it is, how genuinely just like authentic it feels to you as a person. And like, even just going back to what you said about how the prospector is like kind of just an exalted version of yourself, or like the best version of yourself, I could so see that. Like, because that to me is just, mwah, just genius.
Yeah, and with that catfish video, I don't usually like blatantly put myself over or brag too often. That's not
Mm-hmm.
really my style. However, there's a moment in that promo where I phone Neve and he's
Mm-hmm.
on my TV and he answers the phone call and then we have an extended conversation.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's probably going to be my best contribution to the wrestling business, man. That is
I would say
that is that moment.
one of the best contributions to the internet as I know it, in its in my small squared circle of the internet, I would say that's probably one of the best contributions in my book. So kudos to you, sir.
Thank you.
Um, oh, I feel like I had another question, but now I just flew out of my brain. What about you, Xavier?
Oh, I wanted to ask kind of about the full circleness of Booker T and
Oh
kind
yeah.
of so one
Mm.
like where did you come across Booker T, like when you were a kid? Like what were the kind of like and what about him that really like resonated with you so much so that all the way like flash forward to your like you're already like an active wrestler, you're like I want to go train with him. I need to go have that experience. So like I guess just kind of full circle that for us.
Yeah, well, Booker T got me into wrestling. Like when I was 8 years old, and I saw it on the TV for the first time. It was Booker, and I was taking VHS tapes and recording episodes of SmackDown, but only the Booker matches.
Mm.
So I just have
Mm.
like a VHS
Classic.
tape with Booker T, and I see your action figures
Oh
behind
yeah.
you there, right? Like I used to have my own little action figure promotion, and Booker T went over all the time. Like I swear to God, he never lost a match.
Well,
Love
And
that.
yeah, I booked him real good.
I'm sure he appreciated that.
Yeah, so it was always like a dream of like I'd met him when I was 9. My parents took me to a wrestling show and we bumped into him at the hotel. And like
Oh my God.
it's a core memory because afterwards my brother was like, "What did you say to him?" And I said, "Nothing." Because I was so starstruck that I
Oh
was just
my
like
God.
Right.
standing there like, "Oh my gosh, like that's you're real," is kind of what I remember thinking, because when you're
Yeah.
9 years old and you only see someone on TV, right? Like that's not even a
They,
human. That's a fictional
right.
character. And then you meet Booker in real life, and oh man. And so I went to Reality Wrestling to get my advanced training. I had already been working in the business for about a year, and I went there because Reality Wrestling trains people for TV, right? So
Mm.
it's an advanced program that they got there, and yeah, like it was so neat. Like I went there, and Booker T is just, when someone walks into a room and you're just like, that's somebody.
Hmm.
Mm. Yes.
He's far and above the coolest person I've ever met in person. Just like radiates cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
and there was a moment because Booker in Reality Wrestling, they run a TV show, and after I'd been there every single day grinding it in the gym and in the ring, I got a chance to wrestle on their show. They put me in a tag team match with Marty Clay, who had flown in from Kentucky for the weekend. So
Yes.
they put us together, and there was a moment where Marty and I are standing in the entrance, waiting for my music to play, and like they started singing the American national anthem,
Mm.
and it just like I was like under the in the darkness behind the curtain, and it just like dawned on me like, am I about to wrestle on Booker T's promotion? Like
Right.
Damn.
this is a scene out of a movie. Like if I never wrestle again after today, like fuck, I probably made it like as far as as I would be content with. Because you got to understand, like as a kid, that's my childhood hero,
Right.
right? I am one of the
Crazy.
rare. I'm one of the rare people who literally got to live their childhood dream,
Mm.
right? Like Booker T is my hero. I'm a wrestler on his show, right? Like it doesn't get more fantastical than that.
It's insane.
Yeah. I am very curious as to like what did you find the difference was like training for like TV as opposed to like just you know what I mean? Like because it's a very I'm sure it's a very different experience. And we had
Oh, it's a,
interviewed Jarrett Diaz who did it kind of in reverse in that he went to school and ended up working like the production side at like Full Sail University. Like, so he learned the TV side of wrestling first and then went to wrestling school. So I imagine this is kind of like the flip of that. So like, how did that like? What are the differences for you? Like, what was it an easy transition or did it take some work?
it was not an easy transition. It was tough because the thing about indie wrestling is it comes down to match time is what it is, because in the television world screen time is money, right?
Mm.
So my matches, because I've worked for Booker 3 times now, my match lengths are 6 minutes, 4:45 and 4:30.
Okay.
Meanwhile, my like indie show match lengths, like fucking 27 minutes,
Right.
Yeah.
17, like
Hmm.
on a night when I'm not really into it, I'm going out for like 12, right? Like,
Insane.
it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and on top of that too is the way that I work is very improvisational. I'm going out there, I'm feeling it, I'm listening to the crowd, I'm feeling this person I'm working with. But on TV, because you're so restricted for time, every little thing is like planned out. Where it's like, hey, like I'll throw a punch, you block it. I'm like, what? We have to
Mm.
talk about that in the back. I'm not going to remember that shit. And they're like, you have to, you have to. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
ah, okay, I'll
God.
remember it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see out there, right? But like, because I'm like, it's funny on a let's say a 6 minute television match, right?
Mm-hmm.
A 6 minute television match, I would say that I plan the same, if not slightly more, to do in the ring than if I were to go and work 18,
Wow.
which is three
Wow.
times the length. Because if I'm
Right.
going to work 18, I'm just going to work, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But on TV, it's like it's super detailed.
Wow.
Interesting.
That is
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference.
right.
And there's been a few times where like my road schedule just gets to me, and I'm sitting in the back, and I'll be like, "Hey man, like you want to go work a TV match tonight?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, what does that mean?" I'm like, 6 minutes, and they're always like,
Oh my
"We're not getting paid if we go work
God.
6 minutes, brother." And I'm like, "Yep, you're right. Like,
You're right. Oh my God, that is so
you're
funny.
right. We're going 10.
Oh my
Place
God.
on the boots. Here you
Wow.
go."
Is there like anything, because I'm sure obviously you learned a lot from like Booker T, but is there anything that like after you got past the initial like it's Booker T, like advice or something that like sticks with you?
Yeah, that initial like it's Booker T honestly wasn't there
Hmm.
as an adult. As a
Gotcha.
kid, yes, like I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
starstruck. But one of the interesting things is like is I was asked by as I was leaving reality or wrestling, because I spent quite some time there and had to leave eventually, and I was asked like, oh, like did you get your photo with Book? And I was like, no, like
Mm.
I'm not a wrestling fan anymore. I'm here as a professional. I'm here to like, oh, I should have got a photo. I'm like, I worked for him. Like, what do you mean I should have got a photo? There's televised footage of me on his show. I don't need to, I
Yeah.
don't need, right? I don't, and that's, so that's kind of, you know, the way that I approach, like the business now is really, you need to separate yourself from being a fan as much as, you know, he
Right.
like was my childhood hero, and I can't say enough good things and speak highly enough about Booker T. At the end of the day, when I show up to see him, I'm there as a professional, ready to get in the ring and do my job. I'm not an autograph signing. And but yeah, like regarding regarding advice, there's there's one like really good story where one night after training, I was like hitting the gym, and I had my headphones in, and like I like look over, and Book is just like in the far side of the gym lifting weights, and I'm like, no one else is in here. I'm just working out with Booker T right now. And so anyway, I'm like, he's got his headphones on. I'm like, I'm not gonna say shit. But he finishes up and he walks over to me, and he's like, hey Wes, like you know, like I see you in here working hard. Like that's some good shit. You know, keep it up. And like we just like have like a quick conversation. I'm like, oh, thanks so much, Booker. Like really appreciate it. He goes, okay, I'm heading out for the night. Like lock up when you're done. And I'm sitting there like, okay. Like, and then he leaves. And I realize like, I don't know how to lock up reality. Like, what do you mean? Like, I just ended up there with Booker, and now I'm sitting. So I phoned Kevin Bernhardt, who's the Booker's business partner. And I'm like, Kev, like, how do you lock up? He's like, doors are automatic.
Oh
Oh my
my
gosh. That's amazing. Just leave.
He's like, you can just walk out. It's fine. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so
That's
funny.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my, and speaking of you working out with your headphones on, can you confirm or deny that you listen to sad, slow music when you work out because it puts you in some sort of a place?
Yeah, I might be the only person at Reality or Wrestling, and there's several workers there who can confirm this, whose phone has been banned from the Bluetooth speaker because
Wow.
yeah, they don't like Zach Bryan, you know,
I love Zach Bryan. I
over
don't
the
know
speaker
what.
during workouts and and whatever other yeah, I don't know. It's you know what? I just think it makes me feel epic. Like it just makes me feel
Yeah,
dramatic,
of
right?
course.
Like you're
Yeah.
sitting there, you know, you're listening to Bailey Zimmerman or something. You're just like, man, or like old Johnny Cash, right? You're
Yeah,
like
the spaghetti western vibe.
listening to Hurt on the bench press, right? And Hurt on the bench press, you're like, that's a PR. That's a fucking PR every day of the week. If I listened to Hurt on the bench press 5 days in a row, I would be updating my workout planner 5 days in a row, okay?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love
kicked
that.
off the Bluetooth though.
Damn,
Kicked
real
off.
haters out there. That is
They
so
don't see the
sad.
vision. It's fine.
I'd be walking around in slow-mo, just that's
That's what I think, yeah.
yeah, I love that. I
Oh,
think that's incredible.
fantastic. Oh, I did watch you have one match against Scorpion. What is that venue? It's Olds Mania 2. That one?
Yeah, Olds, Alberta, the Bulldog Saloon.
That venue is so cool.
Ooh,
That is one of the coolest venues I've wrestled in.
wow.
I just wanted to say like it was the like first time I really like got a glimpse of like your like long form like work because I've just been like checking out all this like kind of short form social media stuff. It's fantastic. It's like it feels like I'm like watching um just like wrestling I used to watch when I was like a kid when my dad would sit me down and watch like because it just feels like of an older like generation and it's just so fun to see like someone just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna do like the basics better than like just better than everybody
Mm,
around me and then
yes.
you're going to just come for the ride anyway because the basics are that good. And I just wanted to give you like a shout out for that one because that venue was awesome and that match was sick. So it was yeah, it was just a great time. Took me for a ride. So
I appreciate that because that night that crowd was dead.
You're kidding.
They were real quiet, and like I was sitting in the back, kind of getting like nervous, like uh-oh, like
right.
we're in for a tough one. And like when that happens, when you're like late in the card, because we were the semi-main that night, when you're late in the card, like you kind of have to like navigate. Because some nights it's like the crowd is just fucking through the roof, and you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a cakewalk. Like it's gonna be real easy to navigate this. But that night they were dead, and a lot of that match was improv with Scorpius. That one specifically, like I don't even, yeah, like we were going, but essentially like right before he went out, I like said to him like, okay, like crowd's dead. I'm not gonna high school theater it and go out and try and get them to clap. Right? I hate that. I hate that when guy, you know, I'm just gonna go out there and beat the shit out of you, and you can beat the shit out of me, and we'll see what happens. And crowd, yeah, they loved it. Like that. That was a real good night for crowd control. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that, with the way that one went. But that just kind of you know comes down to it where if what you do in the ring, if you believe that it's real, and on top of that, some of it is real, you're gonna have the crowd. You're gonna have,
because it's an epic one for sure.
Yeah.
I do want to ask just about because we were kind of talking about it before we got started, but like we talk about this a lot with independent wrestlers because the game has changed so much with the addition of social media to do promos to get your name out there, and it can be like so beneficial to a lot of people to be able to connect like with audiences they would have never been able to connect with. But there is also that caveat of is like it feels like it's a whole other job on top of one of, to me, the craziest jobs that there is.
Right.
And how do you feel like as a wrestler who like really just wants to get in there and like do the gig? Because you were even saying that sometimes you don't even think about like merch or like trying to handle that because you just want to get in the ring and have a good match. Like that's what you're focused on. Like, does social media feel like this whole other job? Like you're like, I didn't even like plan on this, like signing up for this, or like, do you like the way that you can use it? Is it kind of a mixture of both? Not to lead the witness, but just curious.
It's social media is an interesting thing. I hate it. Like I think it's the worst invention socially for people of all time. There's a line in the Joe Bodacious YouTube episode where I go, Joe, you're an influencer. You think you're going to influence me? Right? And honestly, that's right from the heart. Like I don't care like about likes or subscribes or any of that stuff. And I've been called a lot by different promoters and workers. Like they're like, you're kind of a territory wrestler. And what they mean by that is they mean I'm like old school, like 80s territory guy who just gets in his car and drives town to town and wrestles and, you know, crushes a beer after the show and right. Yeah, it's with social media and I guess the content that I hate even saying the word fucking content, like the content I put out, like I'm content creator. Shut up, like right. but the videos I post are very like I try to make them look like the wrestling promos that I like watching.
Right.
So I'm not so focused on like getting views or likes. Like I've seen, you know, some of my friends, they post like a 5-second clip that gets like 2 million views. And then they're like, man, this is the best clip ever. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like it's a clip from training. Like you did that at training. Like it's not even from a show. Right. You know, with the stuff that I post, I think like, okay, what does TV look like? what is wrestling TV? So the Scorpius promo, where I'm, essentially finding out that he's on the TV show Catfish.
Right.
Or some of my other promos where, they're cut to like a Loverboy song.
Yep.
Or Sherry Sherry Lady, or right, like these kind of like mini music videos. I'm more so thinking about television video packages than I am like likes and followers and a like I've said this on shows, I'll say it again. Like my Instagram is at Prospector Wrestling. I don't care if you follow me. Like it literally, like I want you to come to a show, I want you to see me wrestle, but like in the world of this social media shit, like I don't care. Like come say hi to me at the show and that's much better to me than this online bullshit.
Well, I always feel like the like it's always a better bet to just make something you like and put it out there than
Oh
just be like
yeah.
the goal is to get a share or get this person to see it or whatever. Where it's like if you're just making something you like, then it's just like, okay, well now I'm just genuinely sharing this as I would the people in your real life. Where it just makes more
Yeah.
sense. And I feel like that feels more genuine to you, So
That's
I feel like
yes.
if all of a sudden you were to just like turn it on and like be like "Bah, bah, 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 bah," it'd be like where'd that come from,
Yeah.
so it's really just all like back to like what you said in the beginning, just kind of being the most authentic self and just kind of putting it out there and being like, all right guys, this is it, do you like it? Like, do you want to come to the
Yeah.
show? Like, so
That's what I was going to say. It feels so authentic to you. And I know we have just met, but it feels, I think that's why it's so good is because you can feel that you actually like it. Like, it's like, I would watch this. I think this is interesting. It doesn't feel like a grab
content,
or a
yeah.
gimme or content. Yeah. I also hate the word content. It is such a weird line you have to cross, but I really do feel like, and I felt this way like listening to your other interviews, like watching like some of your matches and your clips and stuff. I was like, this just feels like for like lack of a better term, like the like wrestling man's wrestler. Like you just feel like the wrestling man's wrestler. Like you just like you're in it for the love of the game. And
Mhm.
I love that. And I really feel like it comes through in the way that you talk about wrestling, in the way that you actually wrestle, in the matches you have, in the value you place in certain aspects of wrestling, especially like traveling, meeting people, like working with other wrestlers, like just I don't know. It's very reflective of who you are as a person, and it really comes through in such an incredible way, I feel.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. What happens in the squared circle, that's professional wrestling.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anything else is noise,
Mm.
right? Like merchandise, social media, uh, what have you. All of that is just like extra bullshit that doesn't matter to me.
Mm.
Like, like I'm not looking to, make $1 million in t-shirt sales. Otherwise I would have gone to fashion school. Okay. Like I'm looking to beat the hell out of Todd Quality and right, get Scorpius in the figure four leg lock and take one of Vance Nevada's million wrestling championships off of him. That's what I'm here to do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do. And yeah, but it is yeah, that's what I'm here to do. So
Yeah. I will say though, the Kermit the Frog standoff merch is incredible. That you have like that standoff like is so good.
I'm a massive Muppets fan.
That is
That's great.
not what I thought you were gonna say, and I'm so glad that is what you said.
Yeah, no, I think that Mexican standoff with Kermit is
Oh,
is an incredible T-shirt.
so good.
It's that's one of those yeah, one of those funny, the world of indie wrestling. Here's an indie wrestling story for you guys. My first ever match was a tag team match where I was tagging with Chris Knight, my trainer.
Oh wow. Okay.
And it was a private show. And it was in a Legion in Calgary. and it was for about 45 people, I'd say. People and their kids. Private event.
Mm.
The event was the Henson Productions Fraggle Rock cast and crew. So
Oh my,
they had just wrapped filming Fraggle Rock,
that
and
is
like
so
in the
funny.
crowd is all the puppeteers, and they've got puppets and stuff. That was my first ever indie show.
That's
That was my
so
first ever
funny.
indie show.
That's
And
awesome.
like, you know, and I'm backstage and like some of the wrestlers are like, oh, like there's puppets out there. And I'm like, oh yeah, guys, yeah, that's weird, right? Like that's totally not the coolest thing
I don't,
ever.
and you're
Like
like behind the curtain, like,
yeah. I'm like peeking behind the curtain, like, holy shit, am I gonna meet fucking Kermit the Frog? Like this is the best day of my life.
That's awesome.
Is he
you're like,
here?
but
Day
Is
one.
Kermit here? Like
oh my God, like I didn't know he was going to be here. I would have prepped. I feel
yeah.
so unprepared to meet Kermit the Frog. That is so funny. I love that.
Yeah, I would love to
I
see
love that.
like the Muppets like go to a wrestling show. Like I just think that would be a
The
funny sketch.
Muppets go to a wrestling show. Hello,
It'd be the
clock
greatest.
in.
It'd be the greatest movie ever. I've been
Right.
trying to get it made. Every promoter who will have a beer with me has heard this pitch. I'll give it to you guys too. Maybe you
Perfect.
guys know some. You guys
Spread
are
the word.
right? Yeah, spread the word. Anyone listening with a few grand. How great would it be if you made a movie where like a puppet wanted to join the biz, but he was like too small and weak because he's a puppet?
Yes.
You know, like that's money. That's
I'd-
money.
I'd
This is
see it.
gold
I'd
right
watch.
now. I'm right putting my name down to be a producer. This is
Yeah.
incredible. This is gold.
It'd be
That
so
is
cool.
incredible. That is
It'd
so
be great.
funny. I
Yeah.
have one more question from you, and then I guess we should wrap up so we don't keep you hostage all night, though I certainly would. So you started out in Canada. I know that Canada is your great love, the wrestling in Canada. You had mentioned on another podcast that going to Texas was definitely number one on your bucket list of places to go. And you are like this, you love traveling, you love going to different places, different shows. What else is on your bucket list for like wrestling, just traveling, going? Like, what else are you trying to see?
Yeah, so funny enough, my suitcase is actually packed in the other room. I leave very soon for Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so when I was in Texas and I had that tag team match at Reality Wrestling, it was with Marty Clay, who I
Mhm.
mentioned earlier. And Marty and I, we had never met. We didn't know each other. Like, we met and I was like, this guy's got a great accent, right? Like, he's like, hi,
Mm.
like, I'm Marty Clay. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow, this is
Yeah, you are.
deep south if I've ever, heard it.
Yep.
And I'm like, this guy's got the best accent I've ever heard. And anyway, we wrestle, and this son of a bitch is good in the ring too. Like he's doing flips, and he's old school too, like me. I'm like, man, I like this guy. So yeah, next thing you know, we're just hammered at the bar. And I'm like, because he's got like, some time before his flight back to Kentucky, and I'm like, man, I get along with this guy. He's great. So anyway, we stay in touch, and a few months back, because we're just talking about the different territories we're working in, and he's updating me, I'm updating him, and I just out of like off the cuff, I'm like, Marty, like, what would it take for me to wrestle in Kentucky? And he goes, a plane ticket. I swear to
Oh
you,
my
I bought a
God.
plane ticket that very day.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm heading up there in about a week, and I'm gonna do the old fair tour with
Wow.
Marty. Work a lot of the Potho towns.
Very cool.
Okay.
So
That's awesome.
Potho is the last name of.
Oh, do you know? I don't think you know.
No idea.
The Savages, like Randy Savage, his brother.
Oh, girl. Hashtag new to wrestling. Love to learn on this show.
Yeah, there you go. So the Potho family used to run that part of the Deep South.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be wrestling those towns and with Marty, and I'm real looking forward to it. So
Wow.
that's what's next on the old Prospectors trail.
Wow. That
Very
is
nice.
so cool. And you're like your mom says, the longest 3 months you've ever been away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think she's gonna see me after this one. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
She's just gonna have to track you from her phone.
Yep, she's just gonna have to see you
yeah,
from a distance. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Xavier, any final questions?
Oh no, I'm questioned out. I'm good. Are we good? I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. Take us home.
All right, guys. All right, guys. This has been another edition of the New to Wrestling Podcast After Dark. Thank you so much for listening wherever you find us. Make sure you do the whole social media thing. For Wes Barker, Kelsey, and myself, we will catch you on the next one.
We'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.